Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Peter and this will be the 14th article in this series about the swimming rules. This one is titled 7 and Unders, and here it is. Another great big page full of dense small print. It's mostly all here. Once again, not much in it about rules specifically, and mostly I'll just have my head down reading it to you. This one here, look, it's a local issue. I don't know how widespread this is. Several years ago, the Queensland State Body adopted a resolution to the effect that, quote, under no circumstances are 7 and under swimmers to be formally disqualified, unquote. That was part of the resolution, and I gather it was passed as a participation initiative, presumably in an attempt to respond to declining membership. Remember that. That's the subject of another article. So what did we do before? Previously in this region, there was a tacit agreement between coaches and officials that 25 metre swimmers would not be formally disqualified unless they would have won a medal. And it worked fine. They keep improving things, you see. Now with a white hat on, I've got no option but to apply the rules as they are handed down from on high. In my experience, there have been some unforeseen issues. Like if they swim up out of their age group, they might lose their immunity. And for example, blatantly starting before the start signal could be disqualifiable if the rule is interpreted to apply only to what happens in the water. So how is it being applied? Referees don't do much except to optionally hand out advisory stroke correction slips. And the host club decides whether to award participation ribbons or medals, and likewise whether to award age champion trophies. So how's it been working? Well, mistakes, non-conforming strokes and cheating cannot be addressed. And on the other hand, some parents express the feeling that their children are not being properly recognised. And here is another unforeseen consequence. 7-year-old and under swimmers know that they cannot be disqualified, and so most of them don't try to fix up their defective techniques. Then suddenly they are 8 and fully subject to the rules. At that stage they have to break habits that are 2 or 3 years old. Now what I've observed is having to disqualify some 11-year-olds who would have previously had their strokes fixed by the time they were 8. So what we've got now is, because of yet another policy initiative, we've got swimmers participating who are as young as 5 in this. And if you think about it, think about how long they've been practicing doing it wrong. You see, most of those very young novices, I can't tell them about what they're doing, and most of them don't even go to training, so they don't even have a coach to tell them what they're doing and what they need to fix. So at local swim meets, one thing I like, but some other officials choose to disapprove of, is the option to use those advisory stroke correction slips in all age groups to swimmers of any age, provided it does not affect the placings or the point score significantly. So what I have been doing at most local meets recently is to issue about half a dozen formal disqualifications to make sure that the medals go to those who deserve them, and about 2 dozen of those advisory stroke correction slips to various others. Now, that's what I was doing when this was initially written. It's all been overtaken now With electronic timing, things go very, very quickly. There's no time to talk to swimmers. We are exhibitioning out the infractions. There's no time to talk to them unless they come up and ask us after the end of events. So I tried to think about this a lot and tried to find how to square it all up. I tried to find some equability principle to refer to. I contemplated all this and concluded that medals come with rules. No rules, no medals. It's just too easy to get a medal for doing something wrong, and those who've done it right can miss out. So if they really want a medal, then I would recommend that they could swim up, if it was allowed, swim up into another age group. I'd propose an 8 and under event. That could have difficulties of its own. I don't see anyone doing that yet. And then I sort of thought about the philosophical aspects some more and thought, well, as I've written here, there are a lot of things about sport that are artificial examples of real life. In this instance, it could exemplify how early developers are destined for frustrations. And as an example here, say something like a 15-year-old who desperately wants to drive a car but can't get a licence until they're 17. But really, I don't think that that's it. Very young kids, novices, really only want to have fun. So I suspect that this call for recognition is coming from the ambitions of the parents and whatever ideas the parents have implanted in the children's minds. So could it be reversed? Not, I've written here, not likely given the present environment. You would find that this rule would be entrenched in various agreements with corporate sponsors and state government agencies as a participation initiative. So if you follow the money trail, after all, you can ask, where's the funding coming from? Now, I've raised the issue of membership up earlier, and only just before I went to record this I realised that requires me to do yet another article because there's too much information in it to include in this one. So read that one about what I've got to say about membership next. And what I would like to do is shout out a warning to all the rest of the world. If you're contemplating some kind of policy change like this, well, I suggest you think long and hard about all this before you make any changes, because there are lots of issues behind it that you need to interpret and understand properly. And if you don't think it through very carefully, there can be unforeseen consequences. So on that note, thanks for watching as always, and see you in the next one.